Good morning, good morning, good morning. What's up, everybody? How y'all doing? It's Fulfill Fridays. This is the I Am Victory Morning Thought with your girl, CC Silverman. I'm going to let you guys have a few minutes to come in. Let me go ahead and post my link below, posting. And we're going to, if it lets me, pin it. It's not letting me pin it. Boy, Facebook been on one. What's going on? I'm gonna give you guys a few minutes to come in. Super duper quiet, a little hazy day here in Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex, but it is Friday morning. It's Fulfill Friday, and this is the I Am Victory Morning Thought. I'll give you guys a few more minutes to come in. Come in, no viewers. Okay, we waiting. There goes one. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Good morning, good morning, good morning. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and hop into it. Many of you guys will catch this on the recap. For those that catch it on the recap, it'll probably be afternoon. So good morning and good afternoon and good evening to you all at the same time. With that being said, the title of this video is called Forgiveness. On Wednesday, we had Wisdom Wednesday, and I talked about how long. And good morning, Don. How you doing? I talked about how long, and it was posing an open-ended question of how long are you going to allow yourself to remain in a festering condition, wounded, broken, and just plain stuck? How long are you going to go with untreated wounds? And I really dealt deeply about the wounds that we as women carry and how we mask them, we cover them up, we put a pretty band-aid on it, but we won't stop to deal with the wounds under the band-aid. We simply go through majority of our life masking issues and wounds that we've had. Many of us are covered in wounds from head to toe, and we mask it. We put it on with makeup. We put it on with the clothes that we wear. We cover it. We put a smile on our face. We put on a happy countenance when really deep down inside we're wounded, we're bitter, we're broken, and we're just plain old stuck. So I talked about how long are you going to continue to pretend like that issue is not there? How long are we going to keep going that way? So today, and then in the midst of it, it brought up some real truths that needed to be addressed in our life. Things that have happened to us in our past, things that we're currently dealing with, things that keep resurfacing that we hadn't had the opportunity to fully address and settle out. So once we talked about all that, then I talked about forgiveness. And I said, about it being necessary. And I stopped there on Wednesday because I wanted today's video to be forgiveness, because I wanted to share some three things with you that I wrote down in my journal. And I'm going to put my journal up here to you guys so you can see that 2017 was my year of healing. I proclaimed it to be my year of healing. I don't know if you guys can read that or see that, but this is one of my journals from 2017. I proclaimed it to be a year of healing, restoration, and the word I highlighted was resolve. She said, pretty red, listen, hey, love, thank you. I put all that down, and in the midst of it was so funny, my pastor at the time began to talk about forgiveness, and it was necessary because I was in a season of healing, and in order to even begin the healing process, you got to even address pulling off the bandages, the band-aids is one of the most gruesome parts. And once you pull out the band-aids and start scraping the wounds, one of the scrapes is going to be forgiveness. When God is scraping that wound before he can apply his healing salve, his balm. Hey Robin, how you doing? We gotta go through a scraping process. And I always liken that process to burn victims and their healing process. How gruesome of a process it is. If you're thinking you're just gonna lay to the side and rest and have this quiet, unbothered healing time, that is not what it looks like. Let me prepare you for it. But at the point that you make the decision that I'm no longer wanting to be held bound, stuck, bitter, broken, that every time I get somewhere in my life, even when I'm making great strides and I've had successes, there's an element of me that keeps surfacing up to the top, and I haven't dealt with it. I keep suppressing it back down. I keep charting. I get a little ways further. Hey, Queen Rachel Bray. And that issue springs back up to the top. You suppress it back down again. We put another bandage over. And this time we make the bandage couture, honey. We make that thing fit the wound. We want to fit it all around instead of dealing with the root problem, which is the wound and the festering and the bitter and all these things that are on the inside. And so I heard somebody posted on the live feed that forgiveness is hard. And you know what? Let me just go and speak the truth. It is. We talk about it. And I heard it in a movie. We've all watched Tyler Perry's movie when they say forgiveness is for you, it's not for the other person. Although it was in a movie, it is a real truth. It is for you to forgive. God charges us that forgiveness is absolutely required on our part in order to move forward and to have victory and to live victoriously in him. Okay, that is a requirement. In order for us to be forgiven, we must forgive. Now, what I find so what I find so awe-inspiring is when God charges us with that, He never placed a condition on it. He never said forgiveness is heavy, but people get comfortable with carrying the weight of unforgiveness. They adjust their lives to it. They're okay with being heavy. Let me go there real quick, and then I'm gonna get to these steps real quick. They are okay with carrying forgiveness because your life is accustomed to the extra weight. It's just like me. I'm a thick girl. Y'all know it. Y'all see it. Y'all see it. I'm a little chunky monkey. If you've ever been smaller, and let me go here. If you've ever been smaller and as you begin to gain weight, initially the first few pounds really won't bother you much. But the more you go and the more weight you pick up, because unforgiveness is a weight, it's a heavy weight, the more it begins to slow you down. The more your body, hey Shannon, how you doing? The more your body begins to feel the weight begins to feel all the extra weight that you're carrying because it wasn't accustomed to it. But after so long, even in the midst of you feeling it, you start working your way through it. You start going through it, say, you know what, you adjust yourselves to the quirks that come with carrying the extra weight. You get used to your knees popping. You get used to not being able to bend over. You get used to your back hurting. You get used to your you get used to standing on your feet and causing your feet to callous. You get used to the weight of carrying these things. So yes, unforgiveness is heavy, but a lot of times, hey love, we adjust ourselves to be okay with carrying that weight of unforgiveness. So now that I've said all that, I'm challenged with doing the hardest thing ever is I gotta forgive. And a lot of times we always look at the forgiveness and little things, I forgave that person, but we're talking about on big life altering things. Some of us women are carrying molestation. Some of us are carrying rape. That's not my story, and I'll say that again. Some of us are dealing with incidents. We have been abused physically, mentally, emotionally, financially. We have been in some place we have been taken advantage of. We got knives in our back, and you're carrying the weights of all these things that have happened to you. You are wounded, and you're still going and charting, and you won't take the time to forgive. Why is forgiveness so necessary? Because it is the beginning of a healing stage in you. It is the gruesome part of scraping the burnt wound. We talk about that again. So 3 things I want to say. Shout out to Henry Bassin on these 3 things. 3 myths about forgiveness. Saying I'm sorry heals you. If you think that the person that did or things that happened to you comes and gives you an apology, is going to put you in a place to say, if you're waiting on it, stop. Because even at the point they come even acknowledge it, you still gonna be in your feelings. And that's the truth, because we all had it happen. They'll come, some people will finally come to their understanding and say, you know what, I did something wrong, I hurt you, I did ABC to you, and then at the end of the day, you're still not healed. You're probably more angrier and more hurt than you was before they said I'm sorry. That's number 1. Number 2, forgiving somebody that didn't ask to be forgiven will lead to abuse. That's a misconception. That's a lie. If I forgive them, then that gives them permission to do it again. No, it doesn't. It's not about them. The forgiveness is about you. Forgiveness is about you. It's not about the other individual. All right, 3rd myth, forgiveness will ease the consequences of what the other individual did. If I forgive them, then God no longer holds them accountable. Lie. Ooh. So here's the thing. It is absolutely quintessential. She said, I stopped waiting for the I'm sorry. You're gonna, and I'm gonna go back to the thing I said again. Forgiveness is unconditional. He never placed a condition on when you should or shouldn't forgive. He simply said, you're gonna have to forgive. That was it. It wasn't, you have to forgive unless in these following circumstances. You have to forgive, period. It's over with. It's done. That's it. That's it. That's all. That is a requirement. In order for me to forgive you, in order for me to blot out any erase, in order for me to begin to heal and even work on your behalf, because by you not forgiving, you're still holding on to it. So now I really can't hold them accountable because you have a weight point. And then on top of holding all that in, it gives the enemy an access point to continue to work and fester other things on the inside of you. So in the midst of you dealing with unforgiveness, a lot of times there's a lot of guilt, doubt, low self-esteem. We start dealing with inadequacy issues. We start dealing with all these things coupled with unforgiveness. And then before you know it, you become bitter. You're angry. You're hurt. You're spiteful. You're venomous. Then you become venomous, become vengeful. And I think the worst thing I see a lot of times, we as women, baby, when we get scorned, we become extremely venomous. We'll start biting. We will begin to, and we will construct ideas of how to make a person pay. Dangerous, 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 dangerous. It's not for you to do. You have a God that sees all and fixes all. However, I can't fix and work on your behalf because you holding on to everything. You got it all in your hand. I'm gonna wait on it. Forgiveness is going to be hard. It is not going to be an easy process, easy step. It's not a one-day thing. You don't just wake up and say, today I forgave everybody and I'm over it. It is going to be a process of letting it go. And I know, and I want to say God understands that. He does not have the expectancy for you to wake up one day and be over it. He does, however, have the expectancy for you to acknowledge it and begin to communicate with him where you are in it. God, I'm struggling with this. This has hurt me. This has stopped me. It has stunted me. It keeps coming up. It keeps festering. These wounds are getting to me. And I understand you're charging me to forgive, and I really don't understand what that looks like. So you're going to have to help me walk this out. God, truthfully be told, he's waiting on you to siphon it out to him. In reality, he really wants you just to give it to it all in the hand, but we don't do that. We just kind of slowly be like, okay, here you go. You can take that one. I'm holding on this. I'm holding on over here. Okay, well, now I don't want to deal with this no more, so I'm going to give this to you. When in reality, he would just want you to give the whole thing. But even if you have to have a cipher out process, it's all good. Deal with it. Deal with it. The greatest journey you'll ever embark on, and I'm coming to understand, is the journey of self, of being better, of being greater, of being stronger. And the journey of self often requires us to deal with some very ugly truths that don't always work in our favor. Number one. Number two, it also requires us to address some of the deepest hurts in our life and lay them all aside and allow God to do what he needs to do. And I think we think by holding on to it, it continues to give us an excuse to act out of our festering place. I'm going to wait on it. Because if I'm festering and I'm wounded and I'm bitter and I'm angry, then, and I tell you my why, it's an excuse. And you'll excuse my behavior of why I can't be the greatest version of myself. Not an excuse. God said, I charged you to be greater. I charged you to be stronger. I charged you to get victory over this thing. And right now, by you remaining in this unforgiveness spot, it is winning every day. Because the other individuals that have trespassed and done what they done, they off living their life. They enjoying it, seemingly. They are enjoying it. And you still holding back here stuck, mad, bitter, mad because they out on the playground playing. Baby, let them play. Because as sure as the sun rises and sets, it's going to come all the way back around. But in order for it to come back around, give it to God and don't even look at it no more. And what happened is, I find so funny, you'll hear about it later. But you got to let it go first. You'll hear about it later. I love it because my grandmother could come back and she would tell me things that happened to her when she was a young girl. And as a young woman, things that she had to learn to let go of and let God deal with it. And she said it was hard because then people had the assumption that she was okay and she was passive. She said, no, she just knew how to give it to God and let him deal with it. But she said, but I lived to see it all come back around to him in the end. I watched it. And not that she was like, I was gloatingly happy about it. But the reality is that God does just what he says. He's going to, the other person has to take, even if they don't want to take ownership, there is always consequences to whatever's happened and been done. You may not see the consequences, but no, there are consequences to that thing. So just want to put that out there to the wind. Forgiveness is not going to be easy, but it is so necessary. The journey to self. We're charting to be the greatest version of ourselves. If I'm looking to attract all the positive and greatness energy, I do not have time to harbor the negativity of unforgiveness and brokenness. Why? Because it gives the enemy too much hold to operate in my life and to keep haunting me every time I'm getting ready to take off. He gets me to a plateau and I get here and I get stuck. I can't take off because I'm weighted. You're over the weight capacity. Who am I talking to this morning? I do not know. If you think about it as it relates to a plane, when a plane gets ready to take off, it It can only handle so much weight. You were only meant to carry so much of it. God did not equip us. That's why we all feeling it in our bodies. We dealing with high blood pressure. This, you got bulging disc. You got that going on. These things begin to manifest physically because you're still carrying all this spiritual baggage of unforgiveness that's rooted in all these areas. Baby, let it go. It's not easy, but it is necessary. Hashtag that. Forgiveness. It is not easy. It is not easy, but it is absolutely, unequivocally necessary. All right? Nobody's telling you to get over it, suck it up and move on. I'm simply saying, deal with it. Give it to God, move on. Watch him work and go through the process. Trust it at all costs. Trust it because it's for your good. And he understands that. Gotta give it all to God. Got to, Lisa. Gotta. I'm charting. This is Fulfill Fridays. Motivating Monday, Wisdom Wednesday, Fulfill Friday on the I Am Victory Morning Thought. I am CC Silverman. You guys can purchase your book on Amazon. I posted the link below. It's in the video section as well. You can click it, go over and purchase it. And you guys stay tuned for all the great information that's coming for the intimate book study we're going to be hosting in the first quarter of 2019. And we're gonna chart some things out. We're gonna talk about the wounded. If you guys got the book, you know what I'm talking about. We're gonna talk about being wounded. We're gonna talk about about festering. We're gonna talk about being blinded, blurred. We're gonna talk about the pit experiences of life. We're gonna talk about being life, how God interrupts his life interrupted. And we're gonna talk about this place called rest and understanding the necessity of rest periods in our lives and what we look to attain from having adequate rest periods in our life. Rest, a reflection, evaluation, surrender, and transformation. I am CC Silverman, and y'all know what I'm finna get ready and do. I'm finna get ready to shoot you guys a deuce uptown, down south. I am CC Silverman, and I'm out. Happy Friday, guys.